Marcos, known for his generosity and determination, grew up in a humble family in a small town. Since childhood, he showed curiosity and a desire to help others, whether it was assisting elderly neighbors or fixing children's toys. As a teenager, he decided to become a police officer to protect his community. At the police academy, he stood out for his dedication, sense of justice and empathy, earning praise from instructors for handling difficult situations with calmness and compassion. Despite their concerns about the dangers of the profession, Marcos's parents always supported his dream of becoming a police officer. Starting his career in a bustling city, Marcos quickly distinguished himself with his humane and fair approach. He believed that a police officer's role went beyond enforcing the law. It also involved understanding and helping the community. In his early years of service, he faced many challenges, but his determination and empathy never wavered. Marcos was prepared for any situation, always motivated by the opportunity to make a difference. Marcos always had a strong sense of justice, evident since childhood when he defended a bullied schoolmate. Despite their concerns, his parents always supported him. Enrolling in the police academy was a significant step, and Marcos dedicated himself intensely to physical training and studying laws and human rights. At the academy, he stood out for his physical ability and capacity to remain calm under pressure. Inspired by his mentor, Sergeant Oliveira, Marcos learned that being a police officer is more about serving and protecting the community than just arresting criminals. He was determined to be someone people could trust in times of crisis. After months of rigorous training, Marcos graduated from the police academy, with his proud parents attending the ceremony. Donning his badge and uniform, he was ready to begin his career, determined to protect his community with courage and empathy. In his early days, he patrolled one of the city's busiest neighborhoods, striving to understand the residents' needs and earn their trust. Marcos handled various situations peacefully, from neighbor disputes to helping an elderly lady cross the street, believing that every act of kindness contributed to a safer and more united community. One afternoon, while patrolling a residential area, Marcos heard an unusual sound coming from a nearby alley. He approached cautiously, staying alert. As he got closer, the sound became clearer. It was a faint cry. Marcos felt a chill run down his spine, but decided to investigate further. Turning the corner, Marcos spotted a small dumpster, and to his surprise, the sound seemed to come from inside it. He slowly approached, preparing himself for what he might find. When he lifted the dumpster lid, his heart nearly stopped. There was a baby, wrapped in dirty blankets, crying desperately. Shock and indignation overwhelmed Marcos. He couldn't believe someone could be so cruel as to abandon a baby in such a manner. Without wasting time, Marcos carefully removed the baby from the dumpster. The infant was dirty and appeared extremely weak. Marcos knew he needed to act quickly to save the child's life. He grabbed his radio and called for an ambulance, reporting the critical situation. While waiting for the paramedics to arrive, he tried to comfort the baby, cradling it in his arms and whispering soothing words. The minutes that followed seemed like an eternity. Finally, the ambulance arrived and the paramedics took over the baby's care. Marcos accompanied them to the hospital, worried about the baby's health. Upon arrival, he was informed by the doctors that the baby was very weak but had good chances of recovery as long as he received the necessary care immediately. Marcos stayed at the hospital, waiting for news about the baby's condition. He felt responsible for that little life he had encountered so unexpectedly. When he finally learned that the baby was out of danger, he felt immense relief. The experience deeply marked him and further strengthened his commitment to the protection and well-being of people. After rescuing the baby, Marcos decided to ensure a safe and happy future for him. The baby, named Gabriel in honor of the guardian angel, began to recover in the hospital, where Marcos visited him daily, forming a special bond. The rescue story gained media attention, and Marcos became an admired figure in the community. Gabriel found a new loving family with Laura and Ricardo, known for their work with vulnerable children. The adoption process was swift, and despite the sadness of saying goodbye, Marcos was happy knowing that Gabriel would be in good hands. Gabriel's adoption ceremony was emotional, with Laura and Ricardo committing to care for him as their own son. Marcos promised to keep up with Gabriel's growth, receiving photos and updates from the couple, watching the boy grow strong and healthy. Inspired by the experience, Marcos continued his police work with a renewed perspective, seeking to help and protect the most vulnerable. Gabriel's story became a symbol of hope in the community, reinforcing Marcos's belief that being a police officer means serving and protecting with compassion. Years passed, but Marcos maintained a bond with Gabriel and followed his development in a loving and secure environment. During his visits, Marcos noticed the similarity between himself and Gabriel in terms of curiosity and a desire to learn. Continuing his police career with compassion and determination, Marcos gained the respect of the community. 5 years after the rescue, Marcos was invited to Gabriel's 6th birthday, where he gifted the boy with a photo album and memories. The party further strengthened their bond. Marcos became a constant figure in Gabriel's life, participating in events and outings. At 16, Gabriel began to take an interest in his life story, particularly about his biological parents. With the support of his adoptive parents, Gabriel sought Marcos to understand more about his past. During a visit to Marcos's home, Gabriel asked with emotion about his biological mother and why she had abandoned him. Marcos decided to help Gabriel find his biological mother. During their investigation, they received a lead about a woman named Clara, who had given birth shortly before Gabriel was found. Checking hospital records, they discovered Clara's address. When they visited the location, they met Mrs. Almeida, a former tenant of Clara. She informed them that Clara had left the house 16 years ago under difficult circumstances and hadn't been heard from since. Determined to move forward, Gabriel asked if anyone else might know Clara's whereabouts. Marcos and Gabriel, in search of Clara, followed the only lead they had, the possibility that she might be at her sister Anna's house in Santa Lucia. After hours of travel, they arrived in the quiet town, and failing to get any leads from the locals, went to the town hall. There they found Anna's address and headed to her house on the outskirts of the city. Upon meeting Anna, Marcos explained the situation, and Gabriel revealed himself as Clara's son, seeking answers. Surprised and emotional, Anna invited them in and began to recount Clara's difficult journey after leaving Mrs. Almeida's house. Clara had faced many hardships and made desperate decisions. She had tried to find Gabriel several times without success. Gabriel, moved, felt a mix of sadness and hope upon learning that Clara had never forgotten about him. Anna continued the story, explaining that Clara sought a fresh start in Santa Lucia after leaving Mrs. Almeida's house. Gabriel listened attentively as Anna recounted how Clara had tried to find him several times but faced many obstacles. Clara felt ashamed and scared, spending each of Gabriel's birthdays in tears, but she never gave up. Despite bureaucratic hurdles and the system being against her, Clara sought legal help and tried to trace Gabriel. Gabriel felt anger towards the system that had kept them apart, but also relief, knowing that his mother had never given up. He asked about Clara's current whereabouts, and Anna explained that 2 years ago, Clara had moved to Porto Verde in search of better opportunities and another chance to find Gabriel. Determined, Gabriel and Marcos decided to go to Porto Verde. Anna provided information about Clara, mentioning that she worked at an organization supporting single mothers. Thanking Anna for her hospitality, Gabriel and Marcos departed, with Anna wishing them luck and expressing her support. Upon arriving in Porto Verde, they went straight to the mentioned organization. It was a modest institution, yet full of life and hope. Gabriel, nervous and anxious, walked towards the entrance, feeling closer to the truth and his mother than he had ever been. Marcos asked the receptionist about Clara, briefly describing her. The receptionist warmly smiled. "Ah, Clara. Yes, she works here. She's in the back, assisting in one of the support rooms." Gabriel felt his heart racing. This was the moment he had waited for so long. Thanking the receptionist, he and Marcos walked through the corridors until they found the designated room. Inside, Clara was facing away, busy with some tasks. Gabriel paused at the door, watching her for a moment. She looked older, more tired, but still the woman he had always imagined. "Clara?" Gabriel's voice trembled slightly. She turned around, her eyes meeting Gabriel's. For a moment, time seemed to stand still. Clara dropped what she was doing, tears filling her eyes. "Gabriel." Her voice was an incredulous whisper. Gabriel took a step forward, words escaping his lips with emotion. "It's me, Mom. I finally found you." Clara ran to embrace Gabriel, holding him as if she would never let go. Their tears mixed as they finally reunited after so many years apart. Clara hugged Gabriel with an intensity that seemed to want to make up for all the years apart. Both were in tears, experiencing a whirlwind of emotions that surfaced after so long. The room they were in seemed too small for the magnitude of their reunion. "I can't believe you're here," Clara murmured, her voice full of a mix of relief and despair. "I've waited so long for this moment. I thought I'd never have a chance to find you again." Gabriel, his voice choked up, replied, "I've waited for this too, Mom. I always wondered why you left me. Now finally I can understand what happened." Clara asked Gabriel and Marcos to sit down and began to tell her story, between tears and sobs. She explained that at the time of Gabriel's birth, she was with Robert, who became violent and threatening due to suspicions about Gabriel's paternity. Under pressure and fear, Clara was forced to leave town. Gabriel absorbed every word, asking why she didn't take him with her. Clara, struggling to control her emotions, explained that Robert threatened to get rid of Gabriel if she didn't leave. When he took Gabriel away, Clara thought she had lost him forever. Despite her attempts to report and seek help, authorities did little, and Clara lived with guilt and pain. Feeling a mix of compassion and anger, Gabriel asked if everything she did was to try to find him. Clara confirmed, saying she never gave up looking for Gabriel and always loved him, even from afar. With tears in her eyes, Clara confirmed that she had always searched for Gabriel, but faced many obstacles. After Robert's death, she moved to try to start her life anew. Gabriel began to understand the complexity of his mother's decisions and felt sorrow for her suffering. Marcos suggested a moment of rest so Clara and Gabriel could reconnect. Clara, with hope and fear, asked Gabriel for forgiveness, expressing her love and her wait for that day. Gabriel, touched, forgave his mother and hugged her. The reunion brought relief and hope, starting a new chapter for both. Marcos, watching with a smile, knew this was a moment of transformation. Grateful, Clara said that without Gabriel and Marcos, she wouldn't have had the chance to reconnect with her son. Touched, Gabriel thanked his mother for never giving up on him. Clara and Gabriel continued talking, sharing stories of their separate lives. Clara talked about her struggles in Santa Lucia and her work helping other single mothers. Marcos suggested they start thinking about how to rebuild their connection. Clara invited Gabriel to spend time in Porto Verde to get to know her life and her city. Gabriel accepted, feeling a new hope. At sunset, Clara and Gabriel walked through the streets of Porto Verde, discussing plans and imagining the future. Marcos, satisfied, knew his mission was accomplished. The reunion not only brought Clara and Gabriel back together, but also brought a new chance to create memories and rebuild what was lost. That day, Gabriel discovered that there is always the possibility of a new beginning. Clara found peace and redemption in reconnecting with her son. Gabriel, once abandoned, now lived with his adoptive parents, receiving visits from his biological mother and his hero and godfather, Marcos. Feel free to let me know what you think of this story. And remember to like and subscribe to our channel. Until the next video, God bless you.